Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Theodore Campbell once again, and I got another video for you guys. I wanted to do a video doing a comparison video. Um, I actually did a video a while back of the history of Vanhool. Of course, I can't go into the full history all the way back. Shout out to Motor Coach World. He did a really good in-depth video about the full history, like the actual owner of Vanhool back in Belgium and how he got started and all that stuff. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. It was like a history lesson. But I'm pretty knowledgeable as far as Van Hool's in the America, setting. So I did my own little video. So I don't have a link or anything, but you can look back at my videos and see the actual video. But I'm just gonna pretty much get into the minibus version of Van Hool's. Uh, just like I said in that video, Van Hool was kind of ahead of his time because we talking about back in the early '90s. They actually came out. It's hard to not go into the history when you're talking about videos like this. But back in the early '90s, a lot of buses was 40-foot coaches where they was around 49 passengers and stuff like that. But the bigger bus was the new wave, and a lot of people was shifting over from 40 footers to 45 footers. So that was the new wave. A lot of people was trying to order 45-foot coaches, but there was still kind of sort of a need for shorter coaches. So Van Hool tried to meet the need for that, and they came out with a bus called the T8. Uh, I'm slipping on my words right now, but the T835, and it was pretty much the same bus as a T840 of that time of the early '90s, and this would be now. Let me make a disclaimer. This I'm trying to explain the history through toy buses, so I'm trying to use buses that are actually out there for model buses. So there might not be a particular model bus that I can use for a USA version. So I have to use the European version. So it might not be 100% accurate for these models for the USA. So this particular bus is actually a European bus, a two-axle coach, but I think it represents the T835 pretty well. It's actually too long. I think this is a 40 footer in real life. Let me put it next to the 35. As you see, it's too long. See how the back of the bus sticks out? It's actually a 40 footer in real life, but you got to use imagination. When you collecting these models, sometimes you can't get it 100% accurate. So, but use your imagination. So think of a T840 but 5 feet shorter, and that would be the T845. And they came out with that coach in the early '90s, trying to accommodate the people that was trying to tour with smaller groups, but still wanted the larger group feel. Because a lot of people will tell you you can order a minibus, but it doesn't have the same feel of a coach. Uh, I have a model bus that's like a Ford front. I don't have it with me. I'm not prepared. I'm sorry. But a lot of motor coach operators will tell you that those coaches do not handle well on the highway. They're not good touring coaches. They're great for shuttling different people from airports and hotels and stuff. But on the road, they're not very comfortable. So Van Hool came out with a coach in the early '90s called the T835. Now, it was an excellent idea. It was actually genius. But I think it was a little bit before its time because at the time that they came out with the T835 was the same time that the industry was trying to shift from 40 footers to 45 footers, which is this coach right here. The Van Hool T845. Now I actually have a T840, and I should have had it for this video. I don't know what I'm doing right now, but y'all can use your imagination. Most of these people that's watching this video actually know what I'm talking about because you're actually busting through this. So this is the Vanhool T835 right there. There's actually a 40-foot version, which is the originator for this coach. But Vanhool came out with a T835, which is supposed to be smaller. So this is the European version. That's why it's missing the air conditioning on the top. So just imagine that air conditioning roof unit on the top of that bus and maybe 5 feet shorter like this bus. Because remember, this is the European version, so it's a little bit off. So please forgive me for that because I couldn't find the American version. So again, this bus with that unit 5 feet shorter like this, and that would be the T835. Now again, that was in the early 90s, but I believe it was a little bit before its time. People was trying to go for the bigger bus. They wasn't interested in smaller buses, so it was a little bit ahead of its time, so it didn't last long. So I think it even went to the T9 version. I believe they had T935s. If I'm incorrect, please let me know in the comments. But I believe they had a few all the way to the late 90s. But it didn't last long because, again, people were trying to go with the bigger coach. They wanted the 45-footer. Now, after a while, they came out with the CX45. And I don't even... Yeah, I got one right here. This is the CX45 right there. This is later on in the late 2000s. That was the bread and butter for MCI. I mean, I said MCI. We talking about Vanhool. You bugging right now. So we talking about Vanhool, the CX45. That was the bread and butter. So Vanhool went back to the drawing board and they said, back in the early 90s, we came out with this T835 with the smaller wheelbase and the shorter, seating capacity. Well, things are starting to shift. People are not traveling like they used to. We need to go back to the drawing board and get a smaller coach. They actually came out, and this is before the pandemic. Groups are getting smaller. So they came out with this. Remember, this is the CX45, then they came out with the CX35. So this is the coach right here, CX35. And the cool part about the CX35, it gave you all the amenities of the CX45, but in a smaller package. So it was absolutely genius. So a lot of companies bought this bus, and I think it was a slam dunk for ABC Vanhool. So I'm not trying to go too deep into it, but Vanhool was kind of ahead of the game because they came out with this coach back in the early 90s called the T835, but it was probably a little too ahead of its time, but they regrouped and they came back with this CX35. Now, of course, you see on this actual coach, it has my name on it, Prosperity. We speaking into existence. I will own this company one day. But I'm just trying to give you a difference, show you how Vanhool has came along with different ideas. As you see, T835, CX35. This is the old school version. This is the new school version. This was ahead of its time. This is what they was thinking back in the day, and now they finally got it here, and it's a slam dunk. A coach that allows you the same space that you have in a full-size coach, but in the same size amenities in a smaller coach. So I just want to show you the difference between the two coaches. We're doing how all the singers and stuff are doing verses? Well, we're doing a versus today. This is the T835 versus the CX35. So I hope that you like this video. If I said anything wrong, please get in the comments and let me know. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I will check you next time in the next video.